So what about the Knights of Ren? What's up, everybody? Today I'm here to talk about the Knights of Ren. Now, I don't know about you, but one of the concepts from The Force Awakens that I really liked was the Knights of Ren, because they were Luke students that had turned to the dark side along with Kylo Ren. And I thought that that would have been a very interesting thing to see, especially because we know that Kylo Ren murdered all the other students, and pretty much now if you have this many Force users and really powerful fighters that were actually trained by Luke Skywalker, but now they're all on the dark side, it would be something super interesting to watch. Now, because they didn't address the Knights of Ren and the Last Jedi, we really don't know if these knights are actually, if they had completed their trainings, because if we have a look at the picture, you can see 6 knights and 1 lightsaber, which is Kylo Ren's. And that begs the question, I don't know if the knights actually finished their training, if all of them have lightsabers. Right now on this picture, because of the rain, we can't really tell for sure. But anyways, we all know that these knights are all Force users, right? So today I wanted to address this subject because, again, the more that you dissect these films, the more flaws you can find. Now, by now, Lucasfilm should have known better that the fans are going to dissect these films, and they cannot just try to get away with things. But I have an article over here with an interview in which Rian Johnson is addressing why he actually didn't bring or touch on the subject, the Knights of Ren. So this is a very short article, and it's titled, Rian Johnson didn't want the Knights of Ren in The Last Jedi because he would have murdered them. It's really crazy to me that they are not very creative, and it's really annoying. This is one of the things that also doesn't make sense in my opinion, okay? The sequels, they look like movies that they were not planned out, okay? We know that when George Lucas was in the process of making the originals, he didn't have all the details. However, he did know the entire arc. He knew where the movie was going to begin, and he knew where it was going to end. And that's why those movies, they make sense, because again, it was planned out ahead. But this is what is really lacking in the sequels, you know, even though they don't have all the details, which is fine, but they should have had an overall idea of the entire trilogy prior to even starting production, you know, because it looks like that Rian Johnson took J.J. Abrams' script and just tossed it aside because, you know, he's such a genius. Let's give him an applause. But anyways, IO9 had an interview with Rian Johnson, and they asked him about the Knights of Ren, and this is what the article is saying. Director Rian Johnson kept a lot of ideas and plot elements out of the Star Wars The Last Jedi, including Luke Skywalker, reported third lesson for Rey, one of the things as well, Supreme Leader Snoke's origins, and that time a porg sliced its head open with a lightsaber. One of the more curious one involving the Knights of Ren was because Johnson figured they'd probably die under his watch. That's another thing that is kind of really, it shows the lack of creativity of these people, you know, like you really cannot come up with something creative enough rather than just killing characters. There are so many cool things that the Knights of Ren could have brought to the film, such as like going around the galaxy hunting the rebellion or things like that, or I don't know, just the fact that these guys are like Force users, they were trained by Luke, they're fierce warriors. It would have been super interesting to see them, but again, obviously it's something that he just threw these ideas aside. So the article continues. In Star Wars The Force Awakens, we got a teaser for Kylo Ren's team of Sith wannabes, the Knights of Ren. Several fans figured that Kylo's Knights would play a big role in The Last Jedi. But apart from that one scene where Luke explained the tragedy that had befallen him and Ben Solo, the Knights of Ren were nowhere to be found. Whoa, what a shocker, you know. And again, the movie is critically acclaimed. It really sounds fishy, doesn't it? In an interview on the Empire podcast, Johnson explained his reasoning. The movie was already stuffed to brim with plots and characters, and he didn't really have anything for Kylo Ren to do, besides the most likely option he saw would have resulted in their premature death. Now, seriously, it is really necessary for us to see a second version of pod racing but this time with horses, instead of actually seeing some really cool stuff of the Knights of Ren. You know, it's like they're making a movie that is not even. They didn't forget that this was supposed to be a sequel. Seriously. So this is what Rian Johnson had to say. I guess I could have used them in the place of the Praetorian guards, but then it would feel like wasting them because all those guards had to die. And if Kylo had some kind of connection to them, it would have added complication that wouldn't have helped the scene. Truth is, I just didn't see a place for them in the movie. So this is another thing that it's really Rian Johnson is just, I cannot believe that this guy got the job. Because first of all, he's only thinking about his own selfish reasons, okay? He wanted to tell a certain story, but he didn't care if he needed to follow the ideas of J.J. Abrams, you know? He really couldn't care less. And it's very crazy to me that Kathleen Kennedy actually greenlighted this film. This was supposed to be a sequel. How come he would think that this is not necessary to address these themes? And this also proved the lack of preparation to bring this franchise back. Now, they should have sat down, you know, first of all, and developed an entire arc for all these three films before even deciding who is going to direct what. But he's writing the film what the other one is in production, and then he's not even carrying on ideas that potentially could have been really interesting to see, just because, you know, he needs it doesn't really pretty much what he's saying, it doesn't really fit in my movie, you know. It's really crazy to me to see the lack of care that they have with the franchise, because this is something that is very important, you know. I don't get it. And then the article ends by saying Johnson is referring, of course, to the epic team-up of Kylo Ren and Rey before Kylo showed his true mini colors. And now that Kylo Ren has emerged as the new Supreme Leader, this does leave room for J.J. Abrams to bring the Knights of Ren into the fold of Episode 9. They could be his inner circle, or perhaps they're working on the Outer Rim, spreading the First Order's missions to the edges of the galaxy. The space door is wide open. Now, J.J. Abrams could indeed bring the Knights of Ren back, especially now that Kylo Ren is the Supreme Leader, right? Unless Snoke is not dead. I mean, who knows what are they gonna do? Because right now, the only person defending the light is Rey. But again, we cannot forget that she's Super Rey, right? Obviously, there's still no talk that Mark Hamill will be coming back, which I think would be a terrible idea if they don't bring him back, you know, especially after the way he was treated in The Last Jedi. I actually don't think people are going to forgive the film if they don't really give Luke Skywalker a proper send-off, but this is only my opinion. Who knows what J.J. Abrams has in store? You know, he will have to indeed create magic in order to save the mess that Rian Johnson created. But I would love to hear your opinion about the Knights of Ren. Did you actually like this idea as well? Do you think that it would be really cool to see them back on screen using powers and lightsaber fights and things like that? Let me know what your thoughts. Drop a comment below. And again, thanks for watching. Hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed this video and subscribe for more. See you next time. Bye.